Hey guys, thanks for watching another episode of Maersky Draws. For this episode, we're going to present the Shang Chi piece that I had streamed earlier last week. For those of you that have been keeping up with me on social media, you'll probably realize that I didn't actually like the inking results of what happened in the live stream, so I decided to kind of work on it on my own, and I wanted to use this video to actually show off the time lapse of what we did in the live stream, as well as show off the different coloring that I went with to kind of fix it the way that I wanted it to be on there. So this is what we're going to do with this. So right now you'll see that I have the iPad screen up there, and this is actually how it looked at the end of the live stream. Again, it looks decent. I wasn't too keen with the process of how I was doing that. I was going for an actual comic book style, but then I realized I could have made it so much better, and that's the point of why we do art sometimes is to kind of improve as we go along. So I did want to show that off. So what I'm going to do is show you what I did here inside of Procreate. So this is how it looked on the stream, and then this is what it ended up looking like when I got done with it. So overall a better result for me. And I could have maybe took this a little bit further, but I was happy with the way that this had come out. So right now what I'm going to do is this is the finished result that you can see here. Moving it around here on Procreate. I was very happy. I was a lot happier with the lighting, the shading, and just like the overall color and composition of how that came out. So what I'm going to do right now, I'm going to put it in a position where you can see everything here. And then I'm going to go into Procreate, and the cool thing about this is that they have a time-lapse replay. And what I can do is actually control that time-lapse replay to go back and forth. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to leave it where I started right here with the actual the underdrawings. I'm going to let this play out, and it's going to be about, I think this took me about 12 or this the whole thing took me about like 4 or 5 hours combined with the days that I did. But when I play this out, it's going to be about, let's see what the end result is real quick. So it'll be play about 12 or so minutes. So about 10 minutes if I'm starting from this point in time here. So about 10 minutes, I'm going to let that play. And in the meantime, what I'm going to do, I don't know how much you guys actually know about Shang Chi, the quote unquote master of Kung Fu in the Marvel Universe. But recently, almost basically a year ago, when Marvel announced what Phase 4 was going to be, Shang-Chi is going to get his own movie. It's going to be called Shang-Chi and the Ten Rings. And what was happening at that point too is that Variant, which is a great YouTube channel, came out with the top 10 hand-to-hand combat fighters in the Marvel Universe, and Shang-Chi ranked number one, above the likes of Iron Fist, Daredevil, Black Panther, Wolverine, so on and so forth. Shang-Chi came out number one. Um, so I decided to do a little bit more research, and I found a cool article on CBR.com, and then the article itself is about a couple months old. So it came out on May 1st, and I want to credit Josh Davidson for putting this out on CBR.com. It's Shang-Chi, 10 of his powers and abilities ranked. So what I'm going to do basically while the time lapse is playing, I'm basically just going to read off what Josh said about Shang-Chi about his powers and abilities, and he ranked them from 10 to 1, and I'm going to go ahead and read that off to you while this is playing. Instead of having the background music, because I've gotten into some not hot water, but I hate getting copyright claims, especially on original music that I've created. For most of the videos on this channel, it is original music that I've created from loops inside of GarageBand, or I've gotten royalty-free stuff from story blocks and audio blocks. But for whatever reason, YouTube is still kind of saying that, hey, this is copyrighted. Anyway, I'm done trying to get around all that. So I decided I'm gonna put my face on here more and do a little bit more narration. So that being said, let's get into the 10 powers and abilities of Shang-Chi. And at number 10 we have acrobatics. Now, what Josh says here is that what good martial artist superhero isn't also an excellent acrobat? Like many of his peers, Shang-Chi can dodge bullets, blades, and all manner of weaponry. He can free run across rooftops, land flying kicks, and generally put most real-world gymnasts to shame. Shang-Chi is on par with the likes of Daredevil and Captain America in agility and dexterity. Now remember, Shang-Chi came out in the 70s and it was more or less a sea-level character, unlike, and I like that Marvel is trying to bring him to the forefront now, especially with the success of the likes of like Black Panther and Guardians of the Galaxy. Guardians of the Galaxy were basically sea-level also type characters. You know, it's when we say sea-level characters, it's characters that have more of a cult following but weren't really in the mainstream. And I'm glad they're trying to bring Shang-Chi into the mainstream. Shang-Chi, I think, brief history was inspired by the likes of Bruce Lee uh, as the quote unquote the master of kung fu. And let's keep getting into it because I see the time lapse is already at the color stage of what I did on YouTube, so we don't want to run out of time. Number 9, he is the master of weapons. So where most heroes like Elektra, Daredevil, and Colleen Wing tend to stick to specific weapons for combat, and all those characters just mentioned are in the Netflix Daredevil series and in Iron Fist, and they're represented well by those actors. Uh, Tend to stick to specific weapons of combat. They tend to specific weapons of combat. Shang-Chi has displayed a mastery of all kinds of weaponry, but especially swords and nunchucks. Nunchucks obviously being the signature weapon of Bruce Lee in his movies, at least. Shang is adaptable, able to make good use of just about anything he can get his hands on. Of course, he is just as deadly with his bare hands. Of course, that's why he was ranked number one by variant on his hand-to-hand combat skills. At number 8, he is a warrior at peace. Ah, this is an interesting quote-unquote characteristic to have. Something that definitely sets Shang-Chi apart from most Marvel heroes is his ability to remain at peace, even while in combat. While the likes of Iron Fist and Daredevil try to practice the tenets of Zen Buddhism to remain level-headed in combat, Shang-Chi is able to do it better than just about anyone in the Marvel universe. That's awesome. That's actually a good thing to have. So he's not acting out of anger. He's not acting. Uh, this actually brought to my head a great scene that we saw in Enter the Dragon, one of the opening scenes where Bruce Lee is practicing with or giving a lesson to one of his students. He's telling them uh, emotional content, not anger. Now try it again with me. We'll keep it going on that. Sorry, it's a bad Bruce Lee impression. At number 7, we have pressure point precision. And what Josh Davidson says about this is as much like Mr. Spock and most arts film characters, Shang-Chi has the precision, practice, and know-how to strike at a target's pressure points for maximum pain and debilitation. Now, if you need some context on that, Spock had the Vulcan, I think it's called the Vulcan Death Grip, where he took you know, his grip and figured out how to do debilitate somebody at a specific pressure point. That's basically what that says here. At number 6, we have complete body control. And what they say about this is needless to say, Shang-Chi has precise control over all his voluntary muscles. But he has also shown control over the involuntary in the past. Shang-Chi has displayed the ability to control his blood flow to slow the spread of poison, the ability to regulate his own heartbeat, and even slow down his own bleeding. That's how do that's kind of like a crazy control over your nervous system. And he also says here he has also been able to control his own nervous system such that he can numb himself to pain. I don't know if that's better or the rapid healing that Wolverine has is better, but they're both pretty uh, BA to say the least. I'm trying to keep it, so that the kids can watch this too. So, at number 5, we have mastery of his senses, which kind of go hand in hand with the complete body control thing. Like many a true warrior, Shang-Chi has mastered all 5 of his senses, honing them like a weapon all their own. It is folly to rely completely on one's own eyesight, and Shang-Chi does not commit this mistake. That's awesome. So, you know, like Daredevil, who has a sonar sense because he's blind, it's said that when you lose a sense, the others get amplified. So it looks like Shang-Chi has all those senses, and he's amplified all of them nonetheless. And to finish this off, he has acute hearing and smell. He can track a target with the likes of Wolverine and Daredevil, which is crazy. Notably, in a fight with the Gorgon, Shang-Chi extinguished all light in the room and fought the villain in the dark. Gorgon escaped, but Shang won the duel. Imagine fighting somebody in the dark. Now, if you've ever turned the lights off and you're completely in the dark, if there's just a little bit of light, your eyes will adapt to that, and you'll kind of get a sense of where everything is after a couple minutes, and then what it sounds like here is that Shang-Chi has amplified that to be able to almost completely see in the dark, or feel at least feel his opponent in the dark, which is again crazy. Number four, again, this all goes together with the last two. Complete body control and mastery of the centuries is chi control. Like Iron Fist and Victor Alvarez, the second Power Man, Shang Chi can control and channel his own chi. While he hasn't been able to use it quite to the same degree as Iron Fist and Vic, it has granted him strength, agility, and durability. It allows his martial arts skills to be almost superhuman in their ability to dole out damage and power, which is interesting that we were at number four, and I don't know if you guys have realized, everything that I've mentioned so far is not a superpower. It's something that Shang-Chi honed on his own. Kind of like, if you're an anime fan, kind of like the light version of One Punch Man. One Punch Man wasn't bestowed superpowers, didn't get bit by a radioactive spider or anything like that. He just trained really hard to hone all those senses to the point where he could punch somebody and the fight was over. Yeah, it's a lot like the Master of Kung Fu to maybe more of a quote unquote comic book realistic degree. And what we got next, and obviously it's in the title of his comics when he first came out, he is the master of Kung Fu. Of course, Shang-Chi is a master of Kung Fu and his greatest personal asset. He is among the greatest fighters in Marvel Comics, and he has fought the likes of Iron Fist and the Black Panther to a standstill. He is able to do this having been granted no superpowers or enhanced abilities. Now, if you've been watching uh, Netflix's Iron Fist and you saw Black Panther in the MCU, that's a pretty big claim. Nah, maybe not so much for Iron Fist. I don't know how much you guys liked Iron Fist's representation in Netflix, but Black Panther again is another BA hand-to-hand combat character. You saw how BA he was inside of in the Black Panther movie. Imagine Shang-Chi coming into his own in the Black Panther movie and fighting Black Panther. That'd be absolutely sick. Almost running out of time, so I gotta kind of get to there. Now this is the next couple ones. Oops, we lost. This is the thing with the iPad. We lose. Back it up a little bit. There you go. Yeah, the iPad went to sleep. Sorry, so I just brought it back up for you guys. Maybe I gained some extra time. So number two, and this is alluding to some specific story arcs now, where he's exhibited some quote-unquote superhuman powers. It's the Pym particle power. Uh, there have been a few times that Shang-Chi has had access to enhanced abilities. Such one time is the use of Pym particles in his battle against a massive dragon which had an entire city of Madripoor in its head. Uh, Shang fought the beast just outside Hong Kong and surprisingly won the day. While this isn't a power that Shang-Chi naturally has, it does speak to his skill that he was able to use the Pym particles once and use his kung fu skills to take down a dragon. So it looks like, you know, there was an issue, and I'm talking about this as a comic book fan, but I haven't, Shang-Chi again is a character that I haven't kept up with. So it seems like in one of the issues, he was able to grow kaiju size and take on this huge kaiju dragon, which is crazy to say the least, and I hope might be one of the things that they would bring into the movie that's slated to come out in 2021. So number two, he was able to hone the Pym particles, the power of the Pym particles, in order to take on this big kaiju-like dragon, which is again awesome. And number one, again, this is I believe episode issue specific to the comics. He is able to create his own kung fu army. Again, this is absolutely, that's like what? Let's read about this. So Shang-Chi has also once produced an army of himself. During the build-up to Jonathan Hickman's Secret Wars in his Avengers and New Avengers series, Shang-Chi communicated with the biological material produced by the Origin Bomb. This allowed him to connect with the Origin Bomb, and it produced countless copies of Shang-Chi. He later led these copies into battle to help Sunspot in forcing the Avengers and the Illuminati to make peace. So that's awesome, is that he was able to hone the biological material produced by the Origin bomb to make multiple copies of himself as an army. Imagine an army of, let's say, 100 Bruce Lees. Imagine that. That's crazy to think that you would be able to make copies of yourself and have control over them to the point where they're actually something solid that you can make into a weapon. So with that, the time lapse has ended. Hopefully, you guys got to see a lot of the process that I went through to kind of recolor my Shang-Chi drawing. I hope you enjoyed the content that you had today. If you did, please like and subscribe. And don't forget to follow me on Instagram and on TikTok, and of course on YouTube. And I do have a Facebook page. I might be going on Twitch sometime soon. But until then, be on the lookout for the next couple of videos, and I'll see you next time. Thanks.